This is Learning the Ropes. Learning the Ropes. Presented by Costen and Hammer Productions. Now, on to the show with your host, Josh Hammer.
Welcome, everybody, to Learning the Ropes, a podcast that uses the game of baseball as a vehicle to learn about a variety of other topics to improve personal development and to better understand the perspectives of those around us. Joining me today is a notable guest, a gentleman who was drafted from the Phillies in 1983 from SF State. And there's a commonality there. Played at Holy Dames University, the Battle of the Bay. No, all jokes aside, it is a pleasure to have a former relief pitcher, a Bay Area college student athlete, but more so, what really sticks out is this gentleman was a MLB scout for 25 years, was a national crosschecker for 9 years for the Mariners and Cincinnati Reds. What really stuck out to me before asking this gentleman to join this show was how much he gives back to the baseball community and kind of what he's doing today. So he's had an amazing, I would say, baseball story and a journey, and the journey continues by him helping student athletes take their game to the next level as they navigate through the college process. So please welcome to the show, Butch. What's up, Butch? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Josh.
It's nice we had a conversation before this virtually. So, being that we're practicing social distancing, it's definitely nice to meet you and just chop it up a little bit about the game of baseball. I think we all are clamoring for a little baseball right now. So
I think everybody's ready to go. Yep.
Yes, absolutely. So another thing, let's talk about, right now you are the president of Athlete 911. There's folks in the Bay Area that have been through that platform, and you provide a lot of amazing tools to really help them through the college process. Could you maybe just give the viewers and listeners a little bit about what Athlete 911 is all about?
Absolutely. I took a good look for the last 5 years of the amateur baseball landscape, and I came up last year, about a year and a half, with a business plan that I would, with Athlete 911, it would help the families navigate their road through the youth baseball game, and which events were really good for their kids to go to, which ones were a big waste of money.
Yes.
And just giving them some help because of all the years I've had, in the 25 years I've had in baseball, and the places that I've been in our country to see baseball, whether it be a perfect game event, whether it be Prospect Wire, whether it be Future Stars, whether it be, a PBR. People need to know, hey, this is legit. This isn't legit. And, they're all looking, all families for their kids are looking for exposure.
Right.
So I set my company up to be like a 5-headed monster with, the roadmap to a successful, journey through amateur baseball with the total intent to getting to the next level. Whether it's a JC, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, but getting to go to the next level, getting an education, and getting to play baseball. So what we do first at Athlete 911 is we evaluate every player that comes to us, because evaluation is the first place where you start as a baseball player. Everybody needs to be evaluated, and then I design a roadmap for all of them, for all of our players in their development. These are the things that we do really well. These are the things we don't do really well.
Right.
And we have to work on them. We try to find a role for our players right away, so when they're in high school, They pretty much have an idea of where they should play or should try out at. And then after we have the development plan, I have coaches and I mentor. And then it's helping our players get to the next level. We've been lucky enough that we have 20 kids now as of today.
Wow.
That have committed in the year and a half to Stanford. We got 2 at Stanford, 2 at Oregon, 1 at Mississippi State, 1 at UCLA, a couple at Nevada, Reno, all over the place. And San Francisco State, Sonoma State.
Hit those D2s. Yeah.
Right? Not everybody's a D1 baseball player.
No, yeah, I think that's essential. Like I've shared with you prior to this interview is, my experience as an enrollment counselor and how important it is to find that best fit college for student athletes rather than, oh, well, I want to go, I want to go play at Oregon State. Well, I think it's important to have that hard conversation to identify the gifts, skills, and talents, but also the weaknesses of each player to find their best suited skills that they can bring to the table when they go to play their game at the next level. And I just being real with them about the process, I think, and providing that roadmap really does a difference. So that's awesome.
Thank you. And the confidence thing is huge. We take pride, and I take pride. Everybody calls me old school, because I've been in the game for over 30 years and worked with players for over 30 years. But the truth of the matter is all kids have unending ability. You have to get the confidence of the player, and they have to know that you know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. And then once you've established that and you have that trust from coach to player, player to coach, then there is no limits of what you can talk to a player about.
Absolutely.
Because that respect level is there. And once that respect level is there, then it's a lot easier to be honest when you have to. And those are tough conversations because, you visualize something else for yourself and you come and I'm going to be a D1 player. Well, okay, this is what you're going to have to do to be a D1 player,
right?
Or a professional. But it's not my business to knock players down. Mm-hmm. I don't want to do that. I'm totally honest in evaluation. And I'm a big believer that until a player has his man strength and what he's going to be, you can see the tools, but you're still not sure of what that player is going to become. So I have some kids that are freshmen and sophomores that are really, really good players, but they just haven't got the strength component yet. Mm-hmm. So you don't know where that strength component is going to already take these tools and what kind of skills they're going to end up being. Mm-hmm. So I try to keep it really, really positive. But like you're saying, you got to keep it real. The truth, the truth is gold.
Yeah, the truth will set you free. But yeah, no, it's sometimes challenging. I wasn't a collegiate student athlete not too long myself, and Holy Names University was the best fit, I think, for my skills. It was at the time, it was a first year college baseball team, for the college. And
was Brian Glenn there? Was Brian Glenn the coach?
My goodness, small world. Yes, that is a teammate of mine. I know Brian Glenn really well. I haven't caught up with him. Maybe he'll listen to this podcast. Who knows? I might have to send it his way. That is hilarious. Yeah, he was a character. I'll just say that.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have characters on your team. But, Brian Glenn, went to school together. He was I was a freshman, I think, when he was junior. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
More on that later. That could be a podcast in itself. The Adventures of Brian Glenn. Yeah. So, Butch, some of the things that you mentioned about, the process and just like helping student athletes take their game to the next level. Kind of what I'm curious to know is, you talk about that old school mentality. Where do you see that old school mentality fit in today's game of baseball?
Well, I mean, I spend a lot of time talking about character and integrity. And, if you don't have those two things, you're not going to be a guy that's a commodity to people in the
Right.
coaches of today's era. So I'm trying to prepare them physically as well as mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've been lucky enough that I've had an unbelievable baseball life. So when I can share things with these kids and tell them, hey, this is what this guy looks for, this is what he wants you to be. If you're going to go to this program, this is how you have to fit here. And, this is a small thing, which is huge to me. And it's the only rule I have two rules in our program. Number one, you have fun. Number two, you're on time.
Oh, there it is. I was waiting for it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, being on time shows you the respect for the person that puts the time out there.
Mm-hmm.
And what the kids don't understand is by being on time, they're showing respect to their teammates too.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many things we could talk about as far as, the question you asked. But I mean, the biggest thing to me is the character and integrity part of it, and just setting and forming habits that are positive, that are team oriented, not so much self-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Because I believe the self-oriented stuff comes in, us helping you with fielding mechanics, glove positioning, hitting approach, those types of things.
Yeah.
So it's all kind of mixed up.
Yeah, no, I think that's essential. And especially I think my little experience working with other baseball academies or, I've seen travel ball teams and those kind of things. Sometimes I think that mantra of like character and integrity sometimes can go out the door a little bit. I'm not going to put anyone on blast on this podcast of anything specifically, but here's my whole thing to match up with what you're saying is long haul. I think baseball does not just build character, but it reveals it. The game of baseball, it's, Derek Jeter would talk about, your image isn't your character. Your character is what you are as a guy, right? As a person. It's like showing up on time, attitude. So that whole like throwing your stuff all around the dugout after you strike out, there's stuff to me as a coach, and I'm sure we could get all kinds of fired up talking about these principles in baseball, but there's things that are just non-negotiable, like showing up on time, being a good teammate. What earns you, 100% respect, even if you don't have talent? What's something you can control? Your attitude, your energy, your focus. Are you going to be the guy that cleans up stuff in the dugout after every, the game's over? Or are you going to be the one that quickly zips up his bag and is just trying to leave? So I think it's pretty unique. Stuff. Yeah, I think, I know, sorry, yeah, I could go on and on about it, but character to me is one of the most crucial points in baseball and in life. And that's kind of what this podcast is about, is learning the ropes about different philosophies and how different perspectives kind of, well, not just find commonalities, but where's the value of baseball carry on and off the field. I think being authentic, being honest, being compassionate. You talk about having fun. If you're not enjoying it, then what the heck are you doing it for, right? It's like, so.
Well, the biggest thing I see, and not to interrupt you.
No, please.
In meaning to interrupt you, but the biggest thing that I see more than anything with what you're talking about, the build character reveals it. I love that saying. I mean, that's a great saying. But what I see more than anything is the sports people have a different kind of work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
They've experienced winning, they've experienced losing. So when they get out in life, they've already competed. They've been competing. So life is all about competing. I mean, you every day you're going out there. You got your show now. You're a coach. You're a teacher. You're competing every day because you're also wanting to get better at everything you do. So, I mean,
you just got me fired up. I'm ready to run through a wall. Yes.
Not a baby. I see, and that's what I'm saying is it's like, okay, the more we talk, the more we build the trust together.
Correct.
The more I'll listen to you, the more you'll listen to me. And that's, I think it goes to, like, I'm not a kid throws a helmet in the dugout. I really don't care and I don't say anything.
Oh, okay.
He knows what he did is wrong. So I don't have to say to him again, hey, don't throw your helmet. His teammates will look at him in a way, and he'll see that the way they look at him.
Mm-hmm.
There's some things that kids have to learn on their own. You don't, as a coach, that's the biggest thing that I've learned my whole thing is practice is mine. I run practice. I lead the show in practice. You practice and get better. The game is yours. The game is the players. I give my players the first 5 innings, and then the 6th and the 7th are my innings if it has to be. The players write the lineup by how they practice, how they play, how they scrimmage. I mean, there's so many things to how you come to your lineup, right?
Yes, indeed. That's all I can say on that. And the whole thing, I think, with the whole throwing the helmet thing, it's just it's something you preach more at practice than the game itself. So I do hear that, and it's almost like, well, know already you're not supposed to do it.
Right.
So yeah, that's an interesting perspective. I've never heard it phrased the way that you phrased it, but it makes total sense, and I totally vibe with that. I think just that whole thing of, the player, it's game time. You are the players. We're the coaches. We gave you the tools. It's up to you to use them, and we're here to support. But if we do have to make necessary changes in the span of the game, well, guess what? That's what we're hired for. So we're more than properly equipped to take this on. So I really appreciate that. Is like I said, I'm ready to run through a wall. The last thing, last little topic I wanted to discuss is around, some of our audience, maybe student athletes who are finished with their careers or maybe haven't started yet, haven't started their collegiate careers. So one thing that a question I received from a few podcasts, from a few viewers and listeners, was around, well, like, what can I do once I'm done? Like, where do you see where do you see the sports in general, but particularly for us, baseball, where do we see baseball kind of play in life? Not just, the competing component, which I think is essential. But what other ways have you seen baseball just kind of play out in your daily life even?
Yeah, I mean, competing is obviously number one. Mm-hmm. But number two, it builds confidence. You know, I mean,
Right.
when you play and you have success, you feel confidence, you feel good about yourself. And, you know, in the world that we compete in every day, we have to be able to not commute.
No, I know what you mean.
Communicate.
Communicate.
Excuse me. Communicate. We have to be able to communicate.
Yep.
It's huge with how we communicate. I think when you're in groups of people like you do have in sports, and when you're in front of people and you're having to compete, I think all those things help players in when they go to college, when they go out to try to get their first job. I'm huge on when I used to interview, I would call the place where I was going to interview at and ask them to send me a picture of the room I was going to be interviewed in, so I could get a feel for the area that I was going to be in, so I had a comfort level when I went to that meeting to get a job. So It's so many, I mean, when you talk about all the things that baseball and sports give people, it's just like you on your podcast here, you're trying to create avenues for you to have success in, and you're trying to grow your life. Well, you do that every day in baseball when you're out there practicing. You're practicing and you're competing to get better at everything you do. I tell all of our players, the good ones especially, hey, you got to evaluate yourself every day.
Right.
You're evaluating yourself every day. I'm evaluating myself every day and how I'm going to get better. I think sports brings that to players.
Absolutely.
People that don't play sports, I'm not so sure they're trained that way. So, like, I was talking to a guy the other day. He's become a salesperson. And he works, he may work, and he's out competing every day. And it's how he learns. He's had to compete in sports so he can adjust really quickly. Sometimes people that don't play in sports, they have a harder time adjusting to change. In sports, change happens every day.
That is true. It does. I also will say, some folks that have done like theater production, whether it's maybe if it's not a sport, but it's something that you have to like bring your best version of yourself and keep constantly evaluating and, keep that growth mindset and keep growing through. There are other avenues that I don't even know, that probably both of us don't really know, as far as like being a musician or, theater. However, I think, those are also in a way its own sport or its own craft, its own art. So there are ways to explore that. But being that I'm not an expert on that, there's a reason why I'm saying baseball is a vehicle. Not, right. So I think it's important to keep it real with people and remember, that whole thing about for baseball wise, it's, life's going to throw you curveballs. And right now we're facing one right now. So how are we going to adapt? How are we going to keep growing? Right now I think provides a interesting platform for us to grow. And I think oftentimes, we forget how to keep motivated when things aren't going well. And that goes for anyone. And right now, I guess, if there's any leaving, advice as far as what is like your mantra to keep you so positive through this time? Because I've shared mine every time I'm on this podcast, but what's something that like, keeps you positive right now, especially during this pandemic?
I look at these kids that are the 2020s that have lost their senior years.
Oh, yes.
Not getting it might be some boys' last time to play baseball. I look at the kids that don't get to go to their prom. They don't get to walk down the aisle with their friends for their that's what's motivating me right now, is the fact that, look, I'm not going to live in a negative life. And, I'm not going to be one of these people that is, I'm going to listen to all the information that I can get, that I can gather, And then I'm always going to make a decision for myself and my group that's going to be smart and that nobody's going to get hurt in. Okay. So the way I look at it is all these kids that are players, it's going to affect them for the next 5 years. Every kid that wants to play baseball from 2023s, 2022s, 2021s, it's going to affect everything is happening to them in their future and what's going to happen in baseball. So my whole thing is the last 2 years we've been really development oriented. But now that we've lost all these games, I have to find games for my players now so they can play.
Right.
To play. I mean, they've been coached and they've practiced and practiced. They're all rested now. They're all working on their parts of their game. The ones that really want to play are working on their parts of the game.
Correct.
Yeah, they want to go to the next level. But I just think for us as a baseball industry, as coaches, it's easy to, in everything we do, it's easy to see the negative.
Absolutely.
Let's see the positive, and let's stay positive and keep that good face on.
Yeah, do it for them.
So that you can move that. There's no agendas here.
I think that might be the title of this podcast. I might change it. I like that. Do it for them. That's kind of my mantra right now.
Very cool. I mean, I've enjoyed this and enjoyed talking to you before. I mean, the 20 minutes we spent before we even started this podcast, I enjoyed that. I think that's the thing about baseball that is totally missed is in life. You're not going to like everybody you meet.
No, that's true, especially in baseball.
Right? I mean, we all have egos.
Yes.
We all think we're all better than we really are.
Yes.
But the one thing that we should all have in common is it's not about us, it's about the kids.
Oh, man. Yeah. If there's one takeaway from Learning the Ropes today's episode, folks, it's that. It's doing it for the kids and understanding that baseball is bigger than baseball. It's bigger than baseball. And there's a reason why we could talk for hours about the game of baseball. Well, Butch, I think we're going to wrap up here. Is there any other leaving advice that you'd like to pass on or anything else or well wishes for any listeners out there?
Yeah, no, I would just say to you, the price for greatness, the price to be able to go to the next level is hard work. There's no substitute for hard work. And your best work is going to be when there's no eyes on you.
Oh, that's my go-to. What are you going to do when coach isn't looking? Yeah,
exactly. So be a person of character, be a person of integrity. And the only person you're hurting if you're not doing what it takes to get there is yourself. It's not hurting anybody else. It's you. And so then that would be my message to kids.
No, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Keep having fun.
Yep. Keep having fun. Keep working hard. On behalf of myself and Butch, this has been another edition of Learning the Ropes. If you like what you heard, please rate and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify or any of your other favorite platforms for listening to podcasts. And if you're watching this, or you would like to see the video version of this, it will be posted on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, and throw on those notifications so you know exactly when the next Costen and Hammer Productions video drops. This has been Learning the Ropes. On behalf of myself and Butch, we say we are out. Hey, thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications so you know exactly when the next Costen and Hammer Productions video drops!